Cheating stories caught my wife with her boss in our bed at midnight. I found her wedding ring on the nightstand glinting under the dim glow of our bedroom lamp. But Isabelle wasn't home. She was with him. If this cheating story breaks your heart, hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to Viora for more stories that cut deep. My name is Miles Atwood, and I used to think I had it all. A cozy craftsman house in Raleigh, North Carolina, a financial consulting firm I built from scratch, and a wife who made every sunrise feel like a promise. Isabelle, with her hazel eyes that crinkled when she laughed, was my anchor. 22 years of marriage, a daughter in college, and a life that felt like a well-earned dream. I wasn't perfect. Long hours at the firm meant missed dinners, and my stress sometimes spilled into our quiet evenings. But I loved her fiercely, and I thought she loved me the same. This is my cheating wife story and it's not what you expect. It started with a feeling like a pebble in my shoe I couldn't shake. Isabelle began wearing perfume again. Not the soft vanilla she'd worn for years, but something sharp, expensive, like she was dressing for someone else's gaze. Her phone buzzed at odd hours, and she'd tilt the screen away, her fingers quick to lock it. Work, she'd say, her smile tight. Isabelle was a senior account manager at a local bank, and her boss, Jason Lowry, was the kind of man who walked into a room and owned it. Charismatic mid-40s with a tailored suit and a grin that made clients sign deals. I'd met him at company dinners, shaken his hand. Even laughed at his golf stories. He was married, too, to a sweet woman named Clara who baked cookies for the bank's charity drives. I never suspected he'd be the fracture in my world. The first twist came on a Thursday in March. I was prepping for a client meeting when my assistant Sarah mentioned she'd seen Isabelle at a downtown cafe with Jason. They looked cozy. Sarah said, her voice hesitant. Just thought you should know. My stomach churned, but I brushed it off. Isabelle was professional. Jason was her boss. It was just coffee, right? But that night when I asked Isabelle about her day, she mentioned a team lunch at the bank. No cafe, no Jason. The pebble became a stone. I didn't want to be that guy, the paranoid husband snooping through his wife's life. But the doubt gnawed at me. I started noticing things. Isabelle's late nights at the bank, her sudden interest in spin classes, the way she'd linger in the bathroom texting with the door locked. One evening, I found a receipt in her purse for a boutique hotel bar downtown, $42 for 2 cocktails. She'd told me she was at a client dinner that night. Alone. My chest tightened, but I didn't confront her. I needed proof, not accusations. The second twist hit harder. I installed a small security camera in our living room disguised as a smoke detector. I told myself it was for safety, but deep down I knew why. A week later, I was on a business trip in Charlotte, scrolling through the camera feed on my phone. At 9:17 p.m., Isabelle walked into our house with Jason. My heart stopped. They weren't sneaking, they strolled in laughing, her hand brushing his arm. She poured wine, and they sat on our couch, their knees touching. I watched frozen as Jason leaned in, and Isabelle didn't pull away. The kiss was slow, deliberate, like they'd done it 100 times. My phone slipped from my hand, and I sat in that hotel room staring at the wall, my world crumbling. I didn't sleep that night. Part of me wanted to drive home, kick down the door, and demand answers. But another part, the part that had loved Isabelle for 2 decades, couldn't believe she'd throw us away. Maybe it was a mistake, a lapse. So I waited. I watched more footage. The next night they were back, this time. Jason's hand slid under her blouse, and her laughter filled the room, bright and unguarded, the way she used to laugh with me. They spoke in whispers, words I couldn't hear but felt like knives. I've never felt this alive, I caught her say once, and it was worse than the kiss. It was the truth in her voice that broke me. The third twist was my own doing. I didn't confront them. Instead, I dug deeper. I hired a discreet private investigator, Emma Walsh, who specialized in cheating stories, like mine. Emma was sharp, no nonsense, and didn't sugarcoat things. Within a week, she had emails, Isabelle's work account carelessly left open on her laptop. Messages to Jason sent during lunch breaks. Can't stop thinking about last night, you make me feel seen. There were photos too taken in a hotel room. I didn't recognize Isabelle in a silk dress. Jason's arms around her, both of them smiling like they'd won something. Emma also found Jason's pattern, a history of mentoring female employees, always charming, always crossing lines his wife never suspected. The pain was suffocating, but anger kept me moving. I started planning not revenge, not yet, but something to make them feel the weight of their betrayal. I told Isabelle I had a month-long project in Atlanta, a lie to give me space. She barely blinked her "I'll miss you" sounding rehearsed. I rented a small apartment nearby and worked remotely watching the camera feeds. They didn't waste time. Jason was at our house 3 nights a week, cooking dinner in asterisk, my asterisk kitchen, sleeping in asterisk, my asterisk bed. Each moment fueled me not with rage, but with clarity. I wasn't losing Isabelle. She was already gone. The fourth twist came from an unexpected place. Isabelle's sister, Lauren. We'd always been close, and she called me one evening, her voice trembling. "Miles, something's off with Isabelle. She's lying to everyone. Not just you." Lauren had overheard Isabelle on the phone talking about starting over with Jason. She'd even mentioned draining their joint savings for a new life. I checked our accounts, $30. 000 was gone, transferred to an account I didn't recognize. Isabelle had covered her tracks, claiming it was for home repairs. The betrayal wasn't just emotional, it was financial, calculated, a knife twisted deeper. I sat in my apartment staring at the evidence videos, emails, bank statements. I could have gone public, humiliated them both. But that felt too easy. I wanted them to feel what I felt, not just shame, but the slow burn of losing control. So I crafted a plan. I bought a harmless but stinging chemical spray, the kind used for self-defense, and rigged a small device to release it remotely. I told Isabelle I'd be back from Atlanta early. That night I waited in the shadows of our backyard, watching through the camera as she and Jason tangled in our bedroom. My finger hovered over the trigger. This wasn't about violence, it was about consequences. Did I pull the trigger, or did I walk away letting their lies consume them? That's where I'll pause this cheating story. What would you do in my shoes? Let me know, because I'm still deciding what comes next. As Isabelle once said, love is a choice, but so is betrayal. My thumb lingered over the trigger, the chemical spray device humming faintly in my hand. Through the camera feed, I watched Isabelle and Jason in our bedroom, their laughter slicing through the humid Raleigh night. Her hair spilled across the pillow my pillow, and his hand traced her shoulder, casual, like he belonged there. The betrayal wasn't just in their touch. It was in how effortlessly they'd erased me. I could have unleashed the spray, let them choke on their own panic, but something stopped me. Not mercy strategy. I wanted their ruin to be slower, sharper. A wound they'd carry for years. I slipped the device into my pocket and stepped back into the shadows. The next morning, I didn't confront them. Instead, I went to work my consulting firm's office, a sterile refuge from the chaos in my chest. My assistant Sarah noticed my clenched jaw but didn't pry. I spent hours combing through the evidence. Emma, the PI, had gathered more emails, hotel receipts, even a Venmo transaction from Isabelle to Jason for dinner, dated the night she'd claimed to be at a bank seminar. The $30,000 she'd siphoned from our savings gnawed at me. It wasn't just money. It was our daughter Ellie's college fund. Our future, my trust. I called Lauren, Isabelle's sister, to confirm her suspicions. "She's planning something big." "Miles," Lauren whispered. I heard her mention a condo in Asheville. "With him." My grip tightened on the phone. A condo, a new life built on my ashes. I needed leverage, something to make them squirm. Without tipping my hand, I met Emma at a quiet diner off Route 40. She slid a folder across the table, her eyes steady. "Jason's not as slick as he thinks," she said. Inside were records of his side deals at the bank, shady loans pushed through for clients with questionable credit skimming fees off the top. Nothing illegal enough for jail, but enough to tank his reputation if it leaked to the right people. And Isabelle's in on it. Emma added, "She's been forging client signatures to cover his tracks." My stomach lurched. Isabelle wasn't just cheating. She was complicit, risking her career for him. This wasn't love. It was greed wrapped in lust. The first move was subtle. I anonymously emailed Jason's wife, Clara, a single photo, him and Isabelle at that boutique hotel bar, their hands entwined. No note, just the image timestamped. I knew Clara's type. Quiet, loyal, but not naive. She'd dig. That same day I transferred our remaining savings to a new account Isabelle couldn't touch, citing tax planning when she asked. Her eyes flickered with unease, but she didn't push. She thought I was clueless, and I let her. At night I watched the camera feeds. Jason's visits grew tense. He'd pace, glancing at his phone, while Isabelle whispered reassurances. Clara was asking questions, and he was cracking. The second twist came a week later. Ellie, our daughter, called from UNC Chapel Hill. Dad, is something going on with Mom? Her voice trembled. She keeps asking me about my trust fund, saying she needs to manage it. My blood ran cold. Isabelle wasn't just stealing from me. She was targeting Ellie's future. I reassured Ellie, told her I'd handle it, but inside, I was unraveling. That night, I hacked into Isabelle's personal email. Her password was still our anniversary date. A cruel irony. There I found her plan. She'd applied for a mortgage in Asheville using Ellie's trust fund as collateral. Jason was listed as a co-buyer. They weren't just lovers. They were partners, building a life on my daughter's dreams. I didn't sleep. The betrayal wasn't a single stab. It was 1,000 cuts, each one deeper. I thought of confronting Isabelle, screaming until my voice gave out. But that would only give her power. Instead, I escalated. I contacted a lawyer, David Harper, a shark in a suit who specialized in financial fraud. David reviewed Emma's evidence and grinned. We can't prove the loans yet, but the forged signatures. That's a career ender for both of them. He drafted a letter to the bank's board, anonymous but detailed, hinting at an internal audit. I didn't send it. Not yet. I wanted them to sweat first. The third twist blindsided me. One evening, as I watched the camera feed from my apartment, I saw Isabelle alone in our kitchen, crying. Not soft tears, gut-wrenching sobs, her hands clutching a glass of wine. For a moment I felt a pang of the old love, the urge to comfort her. Then I saw her phone light up. A text from Jason: Clara's onto us. We need to move faster. Isabelle typed back. I'm done lying to Miles, but I can't lose you. My heart hardened. Her tears weren't for me. They were for her crumbling fantasy. I rewatched the footage, catching a detail I'd missed: a packed suitcase by the door. She was ready to run. I decided to tighten the noose. I invited Jason to a business lunch at a crowded downtown bistro, claiming I needed bank advice for a client. He showed up all charm. But his eyes darted nervously. I leaned in, voice low. I know about the loans, Jason, and the signatures. His smile froze. Don't know what you're talking about, Miles. I slid a printed email across the table, one of his to Isabelle, discussing a shady deal. I'm giving you a chance to walk away, I said from this. Or the board gets everything. He laughed, but it was hollow. You're bluffing. I stood, leaving the email behind. Test me. That night the camera showed Jason at our house yelling, Your husband's onto us, he snapped. Isabelle paled. He's fishing, Jason. He doesn't know. But her voice shook. I watched, my pulse steady. They were turning on each other, just as I'd planned. But the victory felt hollow. I kept seeing Isabelle's tears, hearing Ellie's worried voice. Was I protecting my family or becoming someone I didn't recognize? The question haunted me as I planned my next move. The fourth twist came from Clara. She called me, her voice calm but edged with steel. Miles, I know about Isabelle and Jason. I'm not the fool they think I am. She'd hired her own investigator and had proof: bank records, hotel bookings, even a burner phone Jason thought he'd hidden. I'm not after revenge. She said I want justice for both of us. We met at a park, two strangers bound by betrayal. Clara proposed a plan. We'd confront them together, not with screams, but with evidence, forcing them to face the wreckage. I hesitated. A public showdown could hurt. Ellie dragged our pain into the open. But Clara's resolve was infectious. They don't get to walk away clean, she said. I nodded, unsure if I was ready. The fifth twist was my own unraveling. Late at night, I found an old photo in my apartment, me and Isabelle at Ellie's high school graduation. Her arm around me, both of us beaming. I'd loved her so completely, believed in us so fiercely. Now I didn't know who I was without her. The anger kept me sharp, but beneath it was grief, raw and heavy. I called Lauren, needing an anchor. You don't deserve this, Miles, she said, but don't let their choices destroy you. Her words stuck, but so did the image of that suitcase. Isabelle was one step from leaving, and I had to act. I set the stage. I told Isabelle I'd be back from Atlanta in 2 days, knowing she'd invite Jason over. I coordinated with Clara, who'd bring her evidence. David, the lawyer, prepped a formal complaint to the bank, ready to send if needed. That night I stood outside our house, the chemical spray in my pocket, a last resort. Through the window I saw them. Isabelle and Jason arguing now, their voices sharp. If Miles knows we're done, she cried. Jason grabbed her arm. Then we leave tonight. My hand tightened on the device. This was the moment. But Clara's car pulled up, headlights cutting through the dark. She stepped out, her face unreadable. My phone buzzed, a text from Emma. Check the camera, now. What did Emma see? And what did Clara do next? This asterisk cheating wife story, asterisk isn't over. Was I wrong to play their game, or was this the only way to reclaim my life? Betrayal doesn't break you, I told myself once. It rebuilds you. But into what? I froze my thumb hovering over the chemical spray's trigger as Clara's headlights bathed our front yard in a stark white glow. Isabelle and Jason's argument spilled through the open window, their voices jagged with panic. My phone buzzed again. Emma's text. Check the camera. Now I pulled up the feed. Heart pounding. The living room camera showed a new angle. Isabelle shoving a stack of documents into a shredder. Her movements frantic. Jason loomed behind her, barking, "Hurry up, Belle. If Clara's here, we're screwed." The documents weren't random. They were bank statements, loan approvals, the paper trail of their fraud. They weren't just running from me. They were erasing their crimes. Clara stepped toward the house, a manila folder tucked under her arm, her face a mask of quiet fury. I slipped the spray back into my pocket, my plan shifting. This wasn't about a spectacle anymore. It was about precision. I texted Clara, "Wait, let me handle the door." She nodded, stepping back into the shadows. I approached the house, my key cold in my hand, and let myself in silently. The shredder's whine masked my footsteps. I stood in the hallway unseen, as Isabelle's voice cracked. "Miles can't know about the money, Jason. It'll ruin Ellie's future." The hypocrisy burned asterisk. She'd asterisk already jeopardized Ellie's future, and now she dared invoke our daughter's name. I stepped into the living room, my shadow falling across them. Isabelle gasped, the shredder stuttering as she dropped a page. Jason's face drained of color. "Miles," he stammered. "This isn't—" I cut him off, my voice low steady. "Don't I've seen everything." I held up my phone, the camera feed still open, their guilt frozen in pixels. Isabelle's eyes darted to the suitcase by the door, then back to me. "Miles, please, I can explain." Her voice trembled, but I saw no remorse, only fear of being caught. Jason edged toward the door, but Clara's silhouette appeared in the doorway, her folder now open, revealing photos, emails, bank records. "Going somewhere, Jason?" She asked, her tone slicing through the tension. The first twist unraveled in that moment. Clara didn't just have evidence of their affair. She had proof of their financial schemes, cross-referenced with Emma's findings. The bank's board got an anonymous tip tonight. Clara said, her eyes locked on Jason. "They're auditing your department tomorrow." Jason's bravado crumbled. "You set me up," he spat, glaring at me. I shook my head. "You set yourself up. Both of you." Isabelle sank onto the couch, her hands shaking. "Miles, I didn't mean for this to happen. I felt trapped. Trapped." The word stung, but it didn't erase the footage of her laughing in Jason's arms, or the $30,000 she'd stolen. I turned to Clara, "Show them." Clara laid out the evidence like a prosecutor, forged signatures, diverted funds, emails plotting to siphon more. Isabelle's name was on half the documents, her career now a ticking bomb. "You thought you could run to Asheville," I said, my voice cold. "With asterisk. My asterisk. Daughter's money." Isabelle's sob broke the silence, but it felt hollow. Jason lunged for the folder, but I stepped in front of him, my stance unyielding. "Touch it, and I send everything to the board tonight." He backed off, his jaw tight. Clara's calm voice cut through. "You've got one chance to come clean, or we do it for you." The second twist hit like a freight train. Isabelle stood, her eyes wild, and pointed at Jason. "This was your idea. You pushed me into the loans, the signatures, everything." Jason laughed, bitter and sharp. "Don't play the victim, Belle. You wanted the money as much as I did." Their alliance fractured before my eyes, each scrambling to save themselves. I watched detached as the life they planned imploded. But a flicker of doubt crept in. Was Isabelle truly coerced, or was this another lie? Her tears last week, her packed suitcase, were they guilt or calculation? I pushed the thought aside. It didn't matter. Not anymore. I laid out my terms. "You leave this house, Isabelle, tonight. You don't contact Ellie until I say so. Jason, you resign from the bank by morning, or the audit gets every file." I held up a USB drive, Emma's backup of the evidence. "If either of you push back, this goes to the board, your families, your clients, everyone." Isabelle's face crumpled, but Jason's eyes narrowed. "You're bluffing, Atwood. You won't risk your daughter's name in a scandal." I leaned in, my voice a blade. "Test me." The room fell silent, the weight of their choices crushing them. Isabelle left that night, her suitcase dragging behind her. She didn't look back. Jason slunk out, muttering threats under his breath. Clara stayed her presence, steadying me. "You did what you had to," she said. But as the house emptied, the victory felt like ash. I sat on the couch, the same one where Isabelle had betrayed me, and stared at the shredder's remains. A scrap of paper caught my eye, a loan approval with Ellie's trust fund listed as collateral. My hands shook. This wasn't over. The third twist came days later. The bank audit exposed Jason's deals, but Isabelle's signatures tied her to the mess. She was fired. Her reputation in tatters, whispers spread through Raleigh's tight-knit financial circles, and her friends, our friends, distanced themselves. Lauren called torn. "She's staying with Mom, Miles. She's a wreck. Says she's sorry I didn't respond. Sorry didn't rebuild trust." Clara, meanwhile, filed for divorce, her evidence ensuring Jason lost half his assets. His charm couldn't save him now. But a new shadow emerged, a late-night call from Emma. "Someone's been tailing you, Miles. Black SUV, no plates. Be careful." The fourth twist was physical. 2 weeks later, as I walked to my car after a client meeting, a figure in a hoodie shoved me into an alley. A fist caught my jaw, and pain exploded in my ribs. "Stay out of Jason's life," a voice growled. I fought back, landing a punch before the attacker fled. Bruised but alive, I called Emma. She traced the SUV to a hired thug paid through an offshore account linked to Jason's cousin, a lowlife with a rap sheet. I didn't go to the police. Instead, I arranged a meeting with Jason at a dive bar, my ribs still aching. He showed up smug, thinking he'd won. I slid a photo across the table, the thug's face caught on a street camera. One more move and the USB goes public. I said, "Your cousin's name too." Jason's smirk vanished. "You're in over your head." "Miles, I stood, then drown." Months passed, and the fifth twist was quiet but devastating. Ellie came home for spring break, her eyes searching mine. "Why didn't you tell me about Mom?" She asked. I'd shielded her from the details, but rumors had reached her. I told her the truth, carefully leaving out the ugliest parts. She cried, not for Isabelle, but for the family we'd lost. "I don't hate her," Ellie said, "but I can't forgive her yet." Her words mirrored my own heart, caught between grief and resolve. Isabelle reached out once a letter slipped under my door. "I was wrong, Miles. I lost myself. I burned it, the ashes scattering in the wind." The sixth twist was my own reckoning. I sold the house, its memories too heavy. I moved to a condo downtown closer to my firm and poured myself into work. The financial world buzzed with Jason's downfall. He'd relocated to Charlotte, his career a shadow of what it was. Isabelle lived with her mother, a ghost of her former self, shunned by the community she'd once charmed. Clara thrived free of Jason, her bakery, now a local hit. But me. I woke each day to a quiet ache. I'd won, but at what cost? Ellie's laughter kept me grounded. But the man who'd loved Isabelle was gone, replaced by someone harder, sharper. One evening, I found a voicemail from an unknown number. Isabelle's voice, soft-broken. "Miles, I'm not asking for forgiveness, just don't let this define you." I deleted it, but her words lingered. Had I become the villain in my own cheating story, or was this just as hard-earned and necessary? I walked to my balcony, the Raleigh skyline glittering below. A storm was rolling in the air, heavy with rain. I thought of that first night, her ring on the nightstand, and wondered if I'd ever trust again. What would you have done? Let them walk or make them pay? This cheating wife story ends here, but the questions don't. If Miles' journey hit you, smash that like button. Drop your thoughts below and subscribe to Viora for more stories that burn into your soul. Love builds you up, I told Ellie once, but betrayal carves you into something new. What did it carve me into? You tell me.